It's the weekend!
Warriors!
Warriors! Come on to play!
Yeah, here we go!
You're live, gentlemen.
Good Saturday morning, everybody. We're broadcasting live from the Weekend Warriors Studios in beautiful Peoria, Arizona. I am Ralph Romano. I am alongside my partner, the legend, Neil Lynch.
That's me.
And, of course, we have the legendary Philip Amron in the control room. And this is the Weekend Warriors.
Hey, you know what? You know what makes this show better?
What?
Besides hearing more of us, is hearing from our listeners. So, hey, get involved today. Hit us up on the Fanatic text line. That's 888-368-1580. 888-368-1580. Or you can comment on our live social media streams. That's X, that's YouTube, and that's Facebook.
The Book of Faces.
The Book of Faces.
All
So, good morning,
of a
gents.
small amount of faces or many faces?
Well,
Many
the Book of Many Faces.
faces.
Phil, if I may say, once
please.
again, you've won the wardrobe competition today.
He
Today-
won again?
He looks like pictures of my dad from the 1960s
Wow.
with the casual collared shirt on, the very clean look, no beard, which makes me sad, but whatever. And he's got his hair all coiffed, properly coiffed.
Whoa. What was that word?
Coiffed.
I believe it's coiffed.
It's coiffed.
Is it
I'm
coiffed
saying
or
coiffed.
coiffed?
Well, that's something else. We're getting very.
It's getting very, very delicate
dangerous.
here. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's coiffed, by the way. I looked it up.
Philip,
Sorry.
are you coiffed?
I could be if I'm paid enough. But look, my girlfriend, Sports Girly,
Yes.
as we know, favorite texter of ours.
Yes.
Did tell me as I was leaving the apartment this morning, saying, "Oh, you should wear your sunglasses for the show because not for ghosts of warriors past, but because of it gives an Italian like summer vibe." And I was like, maybe a segment, maybe. I
Well,
don't
The
think
summer wind.
I mean, to give the Italian vibe, when we're going to have to take our shirts down, we're going to have to show some hair. I mean, you know. The little
You
gold
say that,
chain.
yeah. Do
Gold
you like that,
chain.
Neil? How he said we're gonna have to, as if like that's not what we
Well,
had to convince him not
look,
to do before each show.
If we're doing this, I'm going to get my crucifix and my horn. I'm going to put it around my chest. I have that. I mean, we can
Well,
go there.
I feel like for the Catholics, this has been a pretty big week.
oh yeah.
Well, we'll talk about the poopy to pope to pope. But you know what? We have breaking news this morning.
Da-da-da-da-da. Do we have a breaking news sounder?
I can see if I can find.
Yeah, I
one.
think
We have breaking news. We just don't have any sound to get there.
Yeah, I'll have to do the sound. I'll
Go ahead, Neil.
improvise.
We have breaking news, Neil.
Yeah, da-da-da-da-da-da.
What the heck was that?
That was awful. Is what that was.
Oh my gosh. All right. Let me give the breaking news, then we'll break down that sound real quick.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Oh my goodness. Oh, there it is.
Newsflash. This is breaking news.
That was much better.
Veteran starting quarterback Derek Carr has decided to retire. So Derek Carr has been dealing with a labral tear, and his rotator cuff is starting to get a bunch of degeneration on it. That injury is bad. He's been in the league for 11 years, and he was going to have to sit out again in 2025. And he's done. He's like, I can't do this anymore. I've been doing this for 11 years. I've had a good career. It's time for me to hang him up. So I look at his stats, and we'll talk about Derek Carr. And was he a Hall of Fame quarterback? I don't know. But if you look at his stats, he has career passing yards of 41,245 yards, 257 touchdowns, 112 interceptions, and he retires with a 77-92 record, never having won as a starter a playoff game.
Wow.
Hall of Fame?
No, not even close.
No, no. This is absurd. No, he
Let's be nice. The man retired. Let's be
he
nice.
had one year that he was legitimately an MVP front runner, right?
Yes.
Until like the last 3 games he got injured right there, and it was like, gosh darn it, no. And then we had to deal with the Raiders in the playoffs with a backup quarterback. I forget who it even was. It was unimpressive. But that was the 1 year, and off of that 1 year with Jack Del Rio as his front head coach, man, he just managed to make an entire career for himself. Possibly win the competition everybody loves. Who's the better sports brother? You know, Jim Harbaugh, John Harbaugh, have that competition annually. We look at the Carrs, when they both had injuries that derailed their career, and it looks like Derek Carr had the better career due to that. David Carr, of course, the number 1 overall pick, had an early lead. Now Derek Carr is a franchise quarterback, at least. You can have that to his name, so that was worth something. But look, Hall of Famer. Hall of Famer. No!
Well, I mean, 41,000 yards, 257 touchdowns to only 112 picks. Those are good numbers.
Well, you know where this
They
makes sense.
surprised me when I read that.
In a realm where Russell Wilson is a no-doubt Hall of
here we
Famer.
go. Oh,
That's
my
where...
gosh.
In
yeah,
a
of
world
course.
where Russell Wilson is a no-doubter.
Yeah, because Neil, if
He is a
Derek
no-doubter.
Carr is a Hall of Famer, Russell Wilson is for sure.
Well, let me
I will
ask
agree
you
with
this.
that.
Let me ask you this. I look at these numbers, and they surprised me. I didn't know that he threw over 40,000 yards with that many touchdowns. His record is, whatever. What qualifies in your little Italian shaded mind
Wow.
Yeah.
as, with the hair coming out of your shirt,
Call him out.
as a Hall of Famer? What does a quarterback have to do to be a Hall of Fame candidate?
I think that there are I think at least 1 year you need to have like plus 4,000. Now, honestly, with the extra game, 4,500. 4,500 yards passing 1 year.
Okay.
I think subjectively you need to be bare minimum a top 3 to 5 quarterback in the entire NFL. I think across any position, if you are a top 5 running back at any given time, if not considered at least the best, at least 1 year, I need you to be the best. Like Christian McCaffrey, at least 1 year was considered the best running back. Derrick Henry, considered to be the best running back. Am I gonna, Frank Gore is where the Mason-Dixon line is here, where it's like, yeah, he's got the numbers, but I never considered Frank Gore to be the best running back ever. LaDainian Tomlinson. I mean, you even look at the guys off of the running backs from Denver, where it's like, yeah, he had a Terrell Davis. He had a short-lived career, but he at least was the best running back in like 2 years. He had amazing, incredible years, and that's what got him into the Hall of Fame. So across any position, I need you to at least be considered or at least ranked amongst the best of your position,
So-
and that's the beginning point.
A guy that averaged 4,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 10 picks a year, not good enough for you.
Not good enough. No. When at all were you ever saying, "Oh, you know what? Who's really just like the best young quarterback, the best quarterback?" No, he was always like, I think you can possibly win a playoff game with. Hey, that Derek Carr, he's looking mighty
this
fine.
poor guy played for the Raiders for years.
Agreed.
I mean, that's a tough gig.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Well,
And
do
he
you
didn't
get-
even
do you
get
get-
Pete Carroll.
Do you
My
get
goodness.
hazard pay because you played for the Raiders?
You
Is that
deserve
like
hazard
extra
pay.
credit
I mean, you should.
bonus points?
I think so.
Oh, he played for the Raiders.
He played for the Raiders at a stretch where they were
And he played
pretty
for the
bad.
Oakland Raiders.
Well,
Like,
I
that's
think
how-
Oakland Raiders.
yeah.
I think to me the Hall of Fame litmus test, we'll call it the Dan Marino test.
Okay.
Because as you know, Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl.
Yes.
But he was by any objective measure a Hall of Fame quarterback. But he never won the big game. So I don't think you can make
Got there, but
I don't think you can make winning
Yeah.
a Super Bowl a criteria. I just think now, to me, it's like it's an either or. You have to have won a Super Bowl. That's actually an and, because if you think of Trent Dilfer, he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame, and he won a Super Bowl.
Right.
So it's the Trent Dilfer, Dan Marino test. You have to have you have to win a Super Bowl and be dominant statistically, or be so dominant statistically that it doesn't matter. So I don't think Derek Carr falls into either category. As impressive as his career was, and let's be honest, let's not cry for the man too much. He's gonna go.
Oh.
He's gonna weep while he sits on his stack of cash and lights 20s on fire for fun.
Actually, a question off of that, because you just said he's gonna just weep into a barrel of dough, right? Like,
Yes.
and we're all like, yes, he's set for life. He and possibly at least 3 generations of his kin,
Correct.
will be fine. And so it's
Well,
all
2.
fine there. Yes, but my question is an interesting one where he retired this year, and we've kind of seen it like in another case this year with Teron Armstead. He retired for the Dolphins. He restructured his contract to be like $1 this year, so that way the Dolphins didn't feel the full burden of it. And you see other cases of like Steve Nash is notorious for this one, where he kept trying to play through injuries, and even everybody knew he was being disingenuous with the thing. He was just like, I'm honestly sticking around just to the end of this contract, then I'm retiring. Otherwise, I would have retired 2 years ago. Whatever. Do you find find it to be more admirable and maybe honorable or maybe like more respectable that he is retiring now as opposed to when he said he had a medical excuse to set out on an entire season, get another, I don't know, 20 million, 40 million, whatever that cap number is. I don't see it off the top of my head. But do you find it to be more admirable that he is retiring now as opposed to later?
Absolutely, because what he's done is by retiring right now, he's foregoing the $30 million salary he would have gotten this year.
Yeah.
Right? So the Saints get to recoup that on the restructured contract. He keeps the $10 million roster bonus he received in March, right? But they don't recover the remaining allocation of the 28-5 signing bonus. But he does give up $30 million. He did the right thing. He knew his arm is done. His cuff is done. He wasn't going to be able to get back to playing. He just made the smart move and said, you know what? Here's your money back. Technically, I don't need it. I'm going to go ahead and move on with my life. You guys move on. You got some young guys here that you can try to figure things out. I was an upstanding thing to do.
Neil, could you turn down a retired golden parachute year of $20 million and not retire for 1 year? Or would you just be like, you know what, I'm going to do the Ralph thing and walk around with my crucifix and say, no, money's too good for me?
That's it. I'm getting my crucifix during the break. Go ahead.
I would you know what? I would like to think that I would make the more noble decision, which is walking around with Ralph's crucifix.
I think you should.
But it's tempting. The 20 million's tempting. And
20 million is
30
20 million.
No, it's
30
30
million?
million. 30
Oh.
million.
Okay, for 20 million, I won't get out of bed. But for 30 million,
Yeah.
okay, now
He
we're
gave up
talking.
$30 million this morning.
Yeah,
And again, that's
I don't
an
know,
entire
man.
year where you're recovering, where you're getting physical training. Like, I mean,
Guaranteed money.
nothing is expected of you, at least for 1 year, to push this off for one more year. I look, I'm noble too, but you know what 30 million is? 30 gosh darn million.
30 million is enough money to last Sports Girly for about 2 weeks.
Whoa!
So there you go.
No, it's probably more so Philip. Philip has an expensive Temu hat.
Yeah, you have to pay that entourage somehow. I get
Yes,
it.
absolutely,
I get
yeah.
it. I don't know. My head says I would do the right thing. My heart is like, 30 million for sitting around getting rehab and getting my body fixed, and then at the end be like, I'm done. I don't know. I mean, hey, there are still good people in the world, and maybe Derek Carr was one of them.
And also, if I'm being my normal jaded self, it's probably like the Saints are going to bump him to some sort of like managerial executive president of the laundry, that he never has to come in and just recoups that over time. And they'll be like, look, we'll get you your 30 million. Just let's not make it affect the team, whatever. But at least on its surface, that has to be a handshake agreement. There's no guarantee to that, as opposed to this is the bird in the hand, and you don't burn the Saints roster and the general manager and all that stuff and the goodwill that you have. I get it. But Ralph, I agree with you. It's probably the nobler thing. I don't know if I could do it.
Derek Carr, you're a class guy.
You're a class guy.
You're a
Amen.
class
I
guy.
agree.
Yeah,
This
I
is
agree.
the right thing to do. You don't need to take that $30 million just to sit around and pretend like you're rehabbing. You knew your career was over. Class guy. But here's my question now.
Okay, what's your question, Ralph?
So now you're a Saints organization with second-year guy Spencer Rattler, third-year player Jake Haener, and then you just drafted this kid out of Louisville, Tyler Shaw.
Yeah.
Who wins this job?
Aaron Rodgers.
No, but you know what? Interesting.
You know what?
Interesting.
Yes.
This feels like the Saints didn't find this out until we all found this out late in the process,
They
so to
knew.
speak. Where no, I think that going into the draft they certainly knew, because by that point there were rumblings about that. That's where everybody connected the Shador to and all that stuff. So there was at least rumblings of that, and that kind of began the thing. And you see this a lot in football, where a player will forego retiring until after the draft, so that way the team can keep some semblance of leverage until after whatever. So that way, if a team's ahead of another team and they're like, well, they desperately need a left tackle because their guy just retired, as opposed to the guys on the fence, whatever. Anyways, in this specific scenario, I don't feel as if they knew, at least before free agency, because we found out about that injury somewhat close to when they found out that he would need surgery to miss it all. And so I think if they had the ability to find this out prior to free agency, they would have reacted differently, because it felt like they were still in a win now mode, as opposed to what they are left with right now. That room is very much a developmental room, but their roster, their cap situation is very much a win now situation. So they're kind of stuck in a awful limbo space that they can't even rationally say, yeah, we're playing for Super Bowls, which is what their roster construction outside of the quarterback room would suggest. But now their quarterback room is just throw a dart on the beef jerky board, because it doesn't, everything's dead up there. It's awful. It's so horrendous that I don't who wins it? The number one pick in the 2026 draft, Arch Manning. Like, I guess that's who wins it.
Well, yeah. I want to know what a beef jerky board is, because that sounds good. I'm hungry now.
Do you chew on it?
I think you chew the darts, and then that's what sticks to the board.
I think the emphasis is on jerk, but that's just
my
opinion.
I mean, Tyler Show was their guy. Right?
I think he was maybe at best going to be, because you've seen this before, that a second round pick doesn't always necessarily turn out to be a starter. Like we've seen Jalen Hurts, I think, was a second, or was he a third? Either way. I know for sure Drew Lock was a second round pick, right. And then I know for sure Derek Carr right now. I mean, he was a second round pick. So you have cases all around the board of a second round pick being easily forgotten from year to year. I mean, it's not a first round investment and all that. So yes, I think that he was going to be their highest prospect, and maybe a guy that they really wanted to start out with, and eventually Derek Carr would come back and play and compete for his starting job again later in the season and whoever made the best man win. But I don't know necessarily that they wanted him to be their starter for the entirety of this season.
You got Spencer Rattler, who's got game time, so he's probably going to go into camp as a number
probably.
One. He's probably your number one going into camp, so whatever his name is going to be sit behind him, unless they do what Neil said. You never know. They could go after a guy like Rodgers or any other guys that can be out there. So I think it gets interesting. To me, what's interesting is what you said about next year, because the Saints are connected to the Manning family.
Oh, yeah.
Could that be a move?
Lest we forget.
Man. Can you imagine that?
That's interesting.
The Saints is a part of Ain't Nation with Arch Manning.
Right.
Had Arch Manning, and everybody, he was like probably the first case of a quarterback who was everybody commiserated, saying, this is an incredibly talented quarterback on a team that is just failing him time and time again. He was probably the first guy of that iteration. And so you wonder whether or not, like, that marriage would be an incredible one. It would make sense for both brands, just as brands, and then let alone the talent. If they finally took their medicine and got to be bad enough to warrant a number one overall pick, that could be worth something.
I think it's going to be interesting.
Yes.
Anyway, so Derek Carr, congratulations on your retirement. I hope things go well for you. I think you're an upstanding guy. I have more respect for you today than I did yesterday. I mean, I really
I'm sure
do.
He's going to be relieved to hear that.
When a guy walks away from $30 million, for that reason, he did the right thing. So I'm impressed.
Yeah.
All right, we're up against a break. Let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, a little Saturday in the Park. It's Weekend Warriors on 1580 The Fanatic.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
I wish we had that song, Saturday in the Park.
Stop by Sherwin-Williams and get 30% off select paints and stains May 2nd through the 12th. It's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Refresh your home inside and out
Thank you very much.
with colors that make every space feel brand new. From cozy interiors to stunning exteriors, we've got the perfect shade for your next project. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-410-6744. 800-410-6744. 800-410-6744. Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, and it's no surprise. Same game parlay from Bet365 just keeps getting better.
Well, it's even easier to make a bet. Choose from the most popular markets like hits, run line, totals, and home runs. So many to choose from.
Download the app, start building your bet, and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Arizona. T&Cs apply.
Hey everybody, Mark Asher, back to tell you about my great friends over at the Lund Mortgage Team. As most of you might know, I'm a big fan of loyalty and longevity. I love companies based right here in Arizona that have been around doing some great things for a long, long time. And oh boy, has the Lund Mortgage Team done just that. In the mortgage game, they're one of the best. In fact, I think they are the best. And I've been telling people about the Lund Mortgage Team for decades now, and I'll continue to do that as long as they continue to take care of all our listeners, and they do that every single day. So you could be next. Call today, 623-875-9940. Look, the Lund Mortgage Team, they're mortgage brokers. That gives them the unique opportunity to shop your rate around. They've also been in business so long, they realize fees are not the most important thing. They keep those nice and low. Call today, 623-875-9940, whether it's a HELOC, whether it's a new home loan, refinance, you name it, they've got you covered. LundMortgage.com or call 623-875-9940.
Now you can be the guy that eventually gets bits and pieces of the latest news.
Or you can get the whole story when it breaks.
The NFL is always in season here.
That's how we do it.
Follow us on Facebook or Twitter. Or at 1580thefanatic.com.
Saturday in the park. I think it was the 4th of July.
Oh, yeah. It's the Weekend Warriors on 1580, The Fanatic. Give me some of that Chicago. I like that.
Hey, everybody, while we're listening to the Stacks of Wax here, hit us up on the Fanatic text line and get involved in the show, 888-368-1580, or comment on our live social media streams. That's X, that's YouTube, and that's Facebook. And you can watch Ralph dance and prance to the tunes of Chicago.
There you go, baby.
Little old school for you.
We got a Facebook from Mr. Blissful Hayes.
The
Good
Book
morning,
of
Ralph,
Faces.
Neil, and Phillip. I think Derek Carr was a decent quarterback, but not even close to a Hall of Fame caliber. No playoff wins secures it. All right. I mean, I guess that would probably be a stat that you could go by. If the guy's never won a playoff game, I mean,
He came darn close,
Yeah.
right? Like that's like you have to say, God, he was so gutsy. Derek Carr, I always was like, you know what, he's fine. He was like the you know what he was? He was
What was
Geno
he?
Smith light.
Geno
That's what he
Smith
was.
light.
that doesn't
Like-
affect me anymore.
I think it do. I dare.
Let's pick on Ralph for no reason.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, I think he was just like, like a completely fine guy. If he's your quarterback, you don't have to worry about off the field issues. You don't have to worry about him like making a horrific mistake, but you never had to worry about winning anything great either. So I mean, like it was like, yeah, he's just running the mill. He'll steady the ship and make you respectable, which there's value to that. Doesn't mean he's a Hall of Famer though.
I think we can all agree on that.
Okay.
I think we're good. I love that Saturday in the park. So let's talk about Thursday, Friday, and to be Saturday in the park. Mr. Neil Lynch, who has been hanging out at Chase Field, which I still call the Bob.
The
Bob. To experience that thing called Dodger baseball.
Love. Yeah, well, I call it the weave. You call it the bob and weave,
Bob
kind of
and
crazy.
weave.
Anyway, so Chase Field, formerly known as the Bank One Ballpark.
I love Bob.
So I have decided, as I am wont to do, every place I have lived in America where the Dodgers have come to play, I think I've been to almost every one of their games. I went to every single game that the Dodgers played in Minnesota from the time they started interleague play until I moved away. I've been to every game, and I'm also doing the same thing here in Arizona when the Dodgers come to play the Diamondbacks, or as I'd like to call it, Chavez Ravine East, because that's pretty much what it was.
Chavez Ravine East. Really?
So first of all, they sold out yesterday. It was like 42,000. It was a sellout, right?
Oh,
and
I'm sure
I guarantee you, they put the sellout in the sellout because at least at least 60% of the fans yesterday were Dodgers fans.
That's what I keep hearing. It was
And
really bad.
and if you listen to the audio of the broadcast, when the Dodgers did well, it was hard to tell what stadium they were at.
Wow.
Because now the Diamondbacks fans were definitely out in full force, and they had a lot of reasons to celebrate, and I'll get to that in a second. But it's just so funny how Diamondback fans get all bent out of shape because the Dodgers come in and take over the stadium. Well, that's because you don't support your team and you don't watch the games. That's why they do that, okay? Because you don't see that at Dodger Stadium.
Never.
You don't see that at Yankee Stadium.
Nope.
You don't see it in a lot of major league team
Boston.
stadiums,
Nope.
but you do at Chase Field. So don't listen. If you don't be a part of the solution. Don't be a part of the problem. Don't whine and groan and complain about it and do nothing about it. Okay. So a couple of things I noticed. So first of all, let's talk about the games themselves. All right. So Thursday night's game was frustrating for a lot of reasons. Yamamoto did pretty good, except for one inning. That fourth inning was an absolute disaster.
Oh, that was
for
awful.
him.
One bad pitch.
It was a disaster. Oh, it was more than one bad pitch, my friend. It was several bad
that
pitches.
pitch cost him.
Because he walked the leadoff batter, and then the second batter, it was a fielder's choice, but there was an error. It was between Haesung Kim and Mookie Betts who made the error. Okay, and then the third batter was hit by a pitch, and then what's his name? The guy Perdomo, whoever the guy that never hits home runs. I forgot his name already. That's how bad it was. Hits a grand slam, right?
Yeah.
And the Dodgers were unable to come back from that. They tried near the end. They got there and they tried. The thing about it was they only had to use two pitchers, so they had Dreyer come in after Yamamoto, and Dreyer did a pretty good job.
Dreyer looks good since they called him up.
He actually helped stabilize things.
Yeah.
So they lost that first game. That was great. And oh my goodness. The Diamondbacks fans. So, all right, I have a theory here. So I lived in Minnesota for about 25 years, and I was a Packer fan living in the Twin Cities in the Minnesota Vikings market. The correlation I make is that Dodgers, as a Dodger fan in Arizona, I feel like a Packer fan in the Twin Cities, right? Because all that the Minnesota Vikings could talk about or think about or discuss was the Packers. They were obsessed with the Packers. Absolutely obsessed with them. I coined a term. I called it Packer envy, which is what every good Minnesota Vikings fan has. Now, to be fair, the team has gotten much better over the years, and, eventually they're going to be good enough. With Kevin O'Connell and the new leadership, I'm confident that the Vikings will become a legitimate, consistently good quality team over time. And they won't have to worry about the Packers anymore. But because they've been so downtrodden and so beaten down by the Packers over the years, their fans started to develop a chip on their shoulder, an attitude, if you will, right? It is miserable, or maybe not so much now, but at one point in time, it was absolutely miserable to be a Dodger. I'm going back to that. It'd be miserable to be a Packer fan in Minnesota, right? I literally met a man. He was actually my boss at one of the places I worked years ago. He told me this straight up. He said, "I will teach my children to never swear at anybody unless they're a Packer fan." And I thought, you're insane. There's no way this is real. Well, I met that kid at a work outing one time, and I was wearing Packer gear.
Right.
And you know what? He was right.
Swear.
He taught his kids never to swear unless it was to a Packer fan. Like, what kind of idiot are you? What kind of stupid human being are you to teach your kids that? Anyway, I noticed a lot of that vibe here in Arizona, right? The Diamondbacks fans have such an obsession with the Dodgers. I'm going to now officially, for the first time in this market, I'm going to coin the term. Are you ready for this?
Go ahead.
Dodgers envy. The Diamondbacks have Dodgers envy, right? And it goes all the way to the team, right? The actual players in the field. Because I got to tell you, now listen, let me be clear about this. The Diamondbacks are a sneaky good team. They got a really good lineup. Their offense was clicking. They step up. When they're playing the Dodgers, they look like world beaters. Like, why can't you play like this the rest of the season? Why do you only get up for these games against the Dodgers? If you played like this the rest of the season, you would be in contention for the NL West. Seriously, they're that good. But they only get up for the Dodgers, right? And of course, we all know the real problem they have is they have amazing starting pitching, right? They've got Pfaadt. Pfaadt was really good. He was on fire against the Dodgers on Thursday. They've got Zach Gallen, who's been consistently good. Now they got Corbin Burns, who is at this point he's
Struggling with
injured. We're not
injuries,
sure what's going on with him, right? But they've got a solid starting staff. They're just like a lot of teams. Their relief pitcher, their relief pitchers are bad.
Their bullpen sucks.
Their bullpen is horrible. Oh, excuse me. Am I supposed to call it the arm barn now, not the bullpen?
Arm barn.
Yeah, that's the Pete. You heard PETA. PETA's going around asking major league teams to call it the arm barn instead of the bullpen.
Why?
Because because the bullpen is anti-animal and it makes them feel bad.
PETA, shut up.
It makes the bulls uncomfortable when you call it a bullpen.
Yeah, I know the bulls get real uncomfortable,
Yeah, I can tell.
especially in bullfighting when you're sticking that sword right through their backs. But
See, you are the exact opposite of PETA. I can't believe it. Anyway, so yeah, their
Rita.
Their bullpen.
I'm Rita.
Their bullpen. Who's there? I'm sorry. I feel so bad. I should know these things really well. Ginkel.
Yeah, he was great last night.
Ginkel was really good Thursday night, and then Friday night he was a total gas
he
can.
was awesome last night.
Yeah. So that game last night, by the way. So Thursday night's game was a really good crowd. It wasn't quite a sellout, but it was about 60% Dodger fans to Diamondbacks fans, and they were in full throat. And like tonight's game, or at least tonight's game, last night's game was insane. It was a complete sellout. It was still 60-40, but man, the fans were on fire. And you know what's funny is everybody who's been to Dodger Stadium knows the reputation of the left field pavilion, right?
Yeah.
That's what it was like in the outfield seats. You know, the bench seats they have in the outfield around Chase Field. In those sections, it was getting pretty salty.
Was it?
I thought I saw at least two different altercations break out, one during the game, one after the game. But it's like the Diamondbacks fans were giving it back to the Dodger fans. It was just this back and forth constantly.
Well, 25-run game too is phenomenal, right? That's just fun to watch.
It was a lot of fun. It was funny, the highs and lows, right? Because I remember in that ninth inning when the top of the ninth started, I remember seeing a couple Dodger fans leave, and the Diamondbacks fans were just chirping at him, going, "Hey, hey, hey, goodbye." And I was like, I've seen the Dodgers do some great things, so let's see.
Game's never over.
I was skeptical.
Yeah, game's never over, dude.
I was skeptical until they got up and they started manufacturing runs, and then boom, all of a sudden they get Ohtani up with 2 runners on, and then that thing happened.
Bye-bye.
Oh my goodness, that was unbelievable. Yeah, it's funny when you watch the video.
Yeah.
It's really hard to tell what stadium you're at. Are you at a Dodger game or a Diamondbacks game? Because the crowd was equally loud for both teams. It was bizarre.
What I loved was the emotion Ohtani showed after he hit that ball, where he was mocking.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize that till afterwards because I didn't see Gurriel do that.
Yeah, Gurriel did that.
But somebody on TikTok posted a video side by side of Gurriel doing his bat flip, and then Ohtani just mocked him.
Totally mocked him. Put his hands.
That
up.
was.
I love when
very
Ohtani
cool.
shows emotion.
Yes,
because he doesn't do it very often. He's such a
Correct.
great player. He does so many great things. You don't ever see the emotion. But when he puts that emotion out there, I think his teammates, everybody they thrive on it. So I loved seeing that. Phil, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Why? And I've asked this before.
Because I said so.
Okay.
Why?
You're going to make a good parent someday.
Yeah, exactly. What is the obsession that these Diamondbacks fans have with the Dodgers? The Dodgers don't look at the Diamondbacks as a rivalry. They just don't, right? I've said this in the past. They're very indifferent about the Diamondbacks. They're just a team on the schedule. But like Neil just said, the Diamondback fans, they look at the Dodgers as this huge rivalry. They have this huge obsession. Why? What's the deal?
Well, okay. After Neil's detailed report here on the whole entirety of the thing, there are things here because on its face, I do agree about the Dodgers' dominance. I do agree that they travel well. Part of the problem, though, just logistically, is that the Bob, whatever you want to call it now, I do enjoy the Bob though. I agree with you. Yeah, it's nice. Is that it is far too big. That is its biggest problem, is that it is far too big and has far too much seating that Arizona can just average and provide. So therefore,
that's interesting.
Yeah, so whenever you do have these bigger things, normally, if you had an appropriately sized stadium, a sellout, which would happen more on occasion, would be able to exclude the outside fans coming in. But whenever now you have these big series of whether it be the Yankees, whether it be the LA Dodgers, they don't need to buy tickets away from Arizona Diamondbacks fans who then have a choice. They just need to buy empty seats that exist there throughout the entirety of the season. So that's just a semantics thing.
So you're saying the stadium is too big for the population that's here?
Yes. Of the active, ongoing population, yes.
That's their capacity, 55?
It's 42,000 something.
Yeah.
officially.
It's 42?
Yeah. And it's still too big. Like
Dodger
so
Stadium is what, 53?
Yeah, whenever you see them play, go watch them play against the St. Louis Cardinals. There's so many dead zones. So many dead zones. Like especially on like a Tuesday or something, like forget about it. Like you'd be lucky to fill up
Forget
like a third of
about
it. Yeah, absolutely.
So here's my thing though, right?
Yeah,
So
go
you
ahead.
you're talking about the problem is that they have too big of a stadium.
Sure.
Well, listen, if I'm a marketing team that works for the Diamondbacks, my job is to fill those seats, right? And the Phoenix area is the fifth largest metro area in the United States. Okay, it's the fifth. It's behind Houston, New York, L.A., I think Chicago. But so I mean, to me, I feel like that's kind of a no offense, my friend. It feels like a cop out.
No, well,
because you've got enough population to support a team.
But to be fair to Phil. Phil, Arizona is like a Florida in a sense of this is a retirement state. This is where a lot of people come from other states during the certain parts of the year. This is not a huge population of Arizonians, I guess you would call them, or Phoenicians that are in this state. There's a lot of transplants in this state.
Cool.
Therefore, you have a lot of people that bring their teams with them.
Oh, and I love the people who, when you say you're a Dodger fan and they want to rip on you, they say, go back to L.A. It's like, well, I was born in Connecticut and I grew up in the East Coast all my life. So I can't be a Dodger fan. There's this stupid, idiotic attitude out there that you can only be fans of the local team in the city in which you live, right? So
yeah,
if you grew up in New Orleans, for example, and you moved elsewhere, oh, I'm sorry, you can no longer be a Saints fan. Like, what idiot made these rules? And you know who does that the most, by the way, are the Diamondbacks fans. They're the ones that get I've talked to people out and about. They get all wadded up into a knot because they're like, well, you live here, you should be a Diamondbacks fan. No, you don't. This entire city is about people from elsewhere.
Yeah,
like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So, like I said, I am coining the term Dodger envy. Diamondbacks fans have it, and here's my theory about Diamondbacks fans. Okay, I said this about Packer fans or about Vikings fans when I was living in Minnesota. The Diamondbacks, their fans would be happy if they. How many times do they play the Dodgers in a season? Is it 10?
I want to say it's 12.
12. Okay, so
I'm not sure. Let's
do math. They would be okay. All Diamondbacks fans would be okay if the Diamondbacks went 12 and 148 or whatever it is, right? Whatever 162 is. They would be happy with only 12 wins throughout the entire season, as long as those 12 wins were against the Dodgers. Like, that would be a successful season to most Diamondbacks fans. And it's ridiculous.
Okay.
That's literally how they act.
I want Phil to finish his thoughts about this.
Yeah, so just one last little point here on the thing. And I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but part of that thing is like, yes, you say it's your job on marketing to get people into the thing. True. You can sell those tickets for $5, and I've personally bought a lot of those. But you know what the problem that you run into is that they do not have parking accommodations for 47,000 people to get in there. And I know that you're going to say, well, what's parking? Look at Intuit Dome, a brand new dome that the LA Clippers have had, and the biggest complaint that people have is that they're selling really cheap seats, really good seats for anybody, especially if you want to claim yourself as a Clipper fan. They'll practically give you a buy one, get one free ticket out there. But the problem is that the parking is horrific. It's like $60 just to park, like over there. I know that's not necessarily the same case over here, but anyways, the parking situation, especially being downtown and how limited space there is, that's what I attributed it to. Now, you're getting to the Dodgers and the rift that is there. I completely agree with you that I think that it is a one-sided rivalry in so much that the Dodgers do not have a second thought about the Diamondbacks. They're just like, oh, that's right. They're also in our division. I forget from time to time. I understand that. Yes, it's kind of even to the degree of like the Mets to the Yankees. Like every once in a while, the Mets will pop up and just be the flavor of the month. But it's nowhere near where the Mets feel that they are in relation to the Yankees, where they're like, oh, we are their number one rival. Oh, forget about it. They don't care. They don't give two pahooies about you. So I do think that the Dodgers right now have so much. I dare say you're almost doing yourself a disservice here, Neil. I think it's just league-wide envy with how much talent they've been able to acquire on their team. And I think what gets lost in the entirety of this entire discussion is that it's a two-way street for the Dodgers to acquire all that talent. Yes, they are. Why? Just because they're acquiring all the outside talent, they also are amongst, if not the best teams that draft. And it's not like they're drafting from prime positions because their record is always near the bottom. They are finding elite talent where their farm system is near, if not always at the top of the league. And then on top of it, even if you want to go to just the free agents that they acquire, look at Ohtani himself. The Angels did not make a contract offer when he was on his way out the door. You look at Freddie Freeman. The Braves certainly decided to let him go. Now, I mean, is their team fine without him? I suppose so. Yeah, they're still a contender year in and year out, but Freddie Freeman certainly helps. You look at Mookie Betts. How were they able to get him? Because the Boston Red Sox wanted to offload a contract. They weren't willing to pay for even the talent that they had. It's a league-wide issue that is in part due to the lack of a salary cap floor. But that being said, if you don't hate it, like anybody else, the Dodgers, yes, they do have some of the deepest pockets. They don't even have the same pockets as the New York Yankees, but yet everybody attributes the Dodgers as the ones who are just buying up all the talent, when really they're just using the tools available to them.
Let's go. We're up against a break. Let's take a break. We'll continue this on the other side. There's a lot more to say here. That's the Weekend Warriors on 1580, The Fanatic.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Well, good morning, kiddo. I love that you're home from college. I've missed you.
Still taking your Nature-Made vitamins?
Every day. A multivitamin and a probiotic. You better be taking yours.
Still looking out for me, Mom.
I'll never stop.
Made to care for you every day. Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand. Find us in the vitamin aisle, based on a survey of pharmacists who recommend branded vitamins and supplements.
Huge news. Right now at Wendy's, you can get a Son of Baconator for just $3. I don't think you understand this situation. The Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. You know, smoked bacon, rich melted cheese. That Son of Baconator is only $3. Thank you to whoever wished upon that star. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii, not valid on a combo or in third-party delivery platforms.
Are you looking for career opportunities with great benefits and job growth? How about the chance to make an impact? What we do here at the City of Phoenix matters. 14,000 employees and counting, all dedicated to making a difference in the communities where they live, work, and play. So come join us. Help us do work that makes Phoenix work. You can see all open positions and apply at phoenix.gov/jobs. This message is sponsored by the City of Phoenix.
Time for a new copier? Here's a better plan. Affordable Used Copiers has reliable late model copiers that won't break your budget. We're talking color and black and white copiers that copy, print, scan, fax, and staple. We sell, rent, and lease late model, top-of-the-line Konica Minolta BizHub copiers that can be delivered the next day. And don't worry, enjoy expert support and reliable service from professionals you can trust. Affordable Used Copiers, where you can get a reliable copier without the hassle of endless research. Save over 50% on pre-owned late model copiers. Search AffordableUsedCopiers.com. A+ rated with outstanding Google reviews. AffordableUsedCopiers.com. Serving Valley businesses for over 14 years. AffordableUsedCopiers.com. Don't get stuck with an outdated copier. Go to AffordableUsedCopiers.com today.
This is Brent Musburger. Don't miss Betting Across America, Saturdays at 11 a.m. right here on Arizona Sports Betting Station, 1580 and 99.3. The Fanatic.
I wanna be forever Phil. Do you really wanna have hair like that forever? Forever Phil. Hit us up on the Fanatic text line 888-368-1580, or you can comment on social media, X, YouTube, and or Facebook, not Instagram. There, see? I kind of sang like I was supposed to.
Wow.
Anyway.
Speaking of comments, Blissful Hayes back on there and says on Facebook, very impressive win for the Dodgers last night. Great game. And I absolutely agree. You know, we were just talking during the break, and I know you were focused on, you know, attendance and size,
salary cap and all that stuff.
And I get all that. I guess the point that I want to make as a true blue, lifelong, bleeding blue Dodger fan is I'm happy for you, Diamondback fans. You've had some decent teams and all that, but here's something you really I want you, if you learned anything today, I want you to learn this. As a Dodger fan, I'm speaking for Neil, I'm speaking for Pantone, I'm speaking for all those guys, right?
Don't speak for Pantone.
We don't care about you. We don't think about you. We care about the Giants. We hate the Giants. We care about the Yankees. We hate the Yankees. And we actually have now started caring about the Padres. We can't stand the Padres because they're such dirtballs, right? But when it comes to the Diamondbacks, you're our friends. We don't hate you. We don't dislike you. I mean, you're just another team. You don't do anything for us. And I think where you guys are stuck is, and I don't mean disrespect, but you had that World Series run back in the early 2000s, which was great. You know, you've had a couple good teams here and there. You know, you had your run a couple years ago. And I think you're so focused on the fact that you swept the Dodgers in a playoff series. But what'd you do after that? You did nothing. You didn't win. We don't get hung up on that stuff. You guys seem to have, that's what you've gravitated toward, and that's what you're gonna, that's your hill that you're gonna die on. We swept it. Every time I talk to somebody, yeah, we swept you guys. Yeah, who cares? We didn't think
2 years
about
ago
it afterwards. We've won 2 titles in the last 4 years. We're not thinking about the Diamondbacks. And I think, and this is a whole, since I've been here 11 years now. Arizona sports fans have this obsession with LA sports. It comes into Lakers, even when the Kings and the Coyotes were having their battles back in the early 2010s, Dodgers, they just have this obsession with hating LA. And it's probably a regional thing, like you mentioned, because they're so close to us and stuff.
Right.
But understand that LA fans don't think twice about Arizona sports. They just don't.
This is exactly what it was like being a Green Bay Packer fan in the Twin Cities. Packer fans in Green Bay don't care about the Vikings. They care about the Bears.
Yeah,
that's it.
They have
That's
their rivalry.
all they care about. That's their rivalry. That's never going to change. And the Vikings were like the little brother that tried to pick a fight with the big guy. And finally, the big guy's like, all right, I'll fight you. If you want me to be your rival, we'll be rivals. That's the sentiment. That's the vibe, as the kids say, that I get here in Phoenix, in Arizona, with the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers. And I think you're right, too. It might be the same with all sports. Although I do feel like that if there is one fan base that I think is a legitimate, loyal, faithful fan base, I would say this, it's the Arizona Cardinals. Okay? Cardinals fans, like, football is much more popular here than a lot of places, and I feel like that at least the Cardinals fans are pretty consistent. Are there enough of them? Probably not.
And I don't feel they have that's an interesting point. I don't feel they have a hatred toward the Rams.
Well, because the Rams don't have as strong of a fan base as other LA sports because of how recent they are, right? Like, it's going to take probably another generation for them to get
because they lost a lot of their fan base.
Yeah, they forsook them.
And, I always think to the playoff game we went to, right? How the Arizona Cardinals took the Rams into their house, turned it into their place. I just think that was the coolest thing in the world, what they did for LA sports.
I think so. Absolutely.
And there's no animosity there whatsoever. But when you talk Dodgers, Lakers, even the Kings back in the day when the Coyotes were here, I mean, it got ugly. But I mean, it's interesting.
Here, look, whenever you talk about sports, usually you can find this because it just gets mathematically slotted up so nicely. It's in the NFL that, especially within divisions, people fall into these roles, right? So, like, let's look at the Chiefs division, the AFC West. My Denver Broncos are in this. Kansas City and Denver Broncos have that respectable rivalry, right? Where each one considers them to be a rival, each one considers them dangerous. They respect them, even whenever the other has a down year. Their season can be made by being like, yeah, you know what? But you ruined whoever's side is winning this year. You ruined them by bringing them down to your level with a loss, whatever. And then both teams find the Las Vegas Raiders, the chihuahua of the group, where they're just like, God, that is that annoying little team that we enjoy. We get to do Ring Around the Rosie with, we get to play like fun games because of how annoying you are. It's a pleasure to destroy you in front of your fan base. They're annoying little chihuahuas. Goodbye. And then there exists the Chargers. That everybody's like, oh yeah, like they can fluctuate between being really good, they can be like really bad, and like nobody just remembers them. Like, and it's just like, yeah. And then the Chargers are there, like, oh yeah, you know who's taking down the Chiefs this year? It's us. You know who's taking down the Broncos this year? It's we got their number, Charge City, baby. And then everybody's like,
Charge City.
You're the Chargers. Like, and again, we can do this all day. Like you've talked about the NFC North over there, the NFC East. The Cowboys are the Chihuahuas of that division. But then you look at the Giants and the Eagles; they're usually the respectable ones, and then the Commanders have been the laughingstock. Now there's a reshuffling of that order now in the NFC East, but usually everybody falls into these identities within a division. Right now, the Diamondbacks are the Chargers. Right now, they are the Washington Commanders. Right now, they are what I guess now are the Miami Dolphins of the AFC East. Like the Browns, where it's just like they can be whatever they want to be, but nobody takes them seriously. They need a much longer road, and unfortunately, they aren't going to be one of the respectable divisions. Like the Dodgers have that locked up for the foreseeable future. They just need to continue winning before they can even begin to just find themselves in a position where they are considered to be a heritage franchise.
I agree with that. And I want to make two more points before we get past this whole thing. Last night, you know how they do the 50-50 raffle?
Yes.
You were there.
Yeah.
It was $252,000 jackpot.
It's
so
insane.
somebody was going to get
insane.
$126,000 last night. So I saw that. My wife saw that. You can get online and do it, right? So
Yeah,
I was
you
like,
can.
I went online and bought like 200 tickets, right? I was like, I'm going to win this. And then they go, hey, we got an online winner. And I was like, ooh, there's an online winner. And I bought
Yeah,
tickets.
Ralph thought about not showing up for work today.
I almost got had $126,000 and I didn't win.
That's too bad.
I was upset. I thought I'd mention that, but I thought $126,000 somebody won last night. That's really cool.
Yeah.
What I really want to talk about was what about these uniforms that they wore? These Serpent.
Oh, I absolutely
love the colors.
love them.
I love the colors big time. I always liked those Diamondback colors better than what they're wearing now.
I love those
But
colors.
I thought they were pretty cool. You guys,
Yes.
you liked them, Phil?
Oh yeah, definitely. Look, I think right now we're having like this might be like too far out in the weeds here, but we're having a branding crisis where every team, if given the choice, is going their McDonald's way of or like every place you look,
I
it's
agree.
red branding and it's red and black, and then it's like the Diamondbacks followed suit. And I was like, no, like say what you will about the Denver Broncos. I make constant complaints about being like, I can't really wear Denver Broncos stuff unless it's an entire entourage
Unless
of
you
Denver
wear the
Broncos.
pants and a cup?
Yeah, because it's orange. Like what goes with frickin' orange? But it's their own brand. It's incredible. It's like a wonderful thing to have, and it's an identity. When you're the Diamondbacks and you're the 17th team that is red and black or a version thereof, it's like, it's so boring. That's the reason why whenever you go back to these throwback jerseys, it's like, yes, people loved it. It was an identity. Like nobody else had those colors. Own that.
I wish they'd go back to those colors.
Yes.
I really do. I love those colors, and they do, like you said, they have an identity in that color.
Yes.
So let's go to the text line. So we've got Quiet Ken on the text line. Says, "Fight on, Ralph." Well, yeah, I'm a USC guy. I'm going to fight on all the time.
Oh boy.
I'm not a Dodger hater, but my favorite team is whoever the Dodgers are playing. That's because, but this is a good reason. That's because the Dodgers have established themselves as the team to beat. You didn't come out and say it, but the D-back fan base, the way you described it, are small-minded. They can't help it.
Oh yeah.
I agree with Quiet Cannon.
Listen, having lived in the Twin Cities as a Packer fan for 25 years, I'm seeing the exact same parallel here in the desert with those fans. So I agree.
The chosen one, who I know is a Minnesota sports fan, comes out and says, "Good morning, gentlemen. As a lifelong Vikings fan, I can speak to envy that I felt for years for the Packers. The last 5 years or so, that's changed, but it used to be a real thing." So he's backing what you're saying.
Oh, I love that. And, he's absolutely right. Recently, with Kevin O'Connell running the show, that organization is slowly evolving away from that. They've got pretty good marketing. They've got the fan experience is great. US Bank Stadium is a great venue. I agree.
Stadium.
I agree that they have changed that a little bit because the Vikings, you can consider them a legitimate franchise now. They're not always trying to fight for the scraps off the Packers table.
Right.
Okay, so yeah, I agree. But yeah, there was a time when it was really bad.
I think it gets interesting for them this year forward because what quarterback what they're going to do if it's Sam Howell's job and what that's going to mean.
I know
JJ McCarthy has to prove himself. Yeah, I think the Vikings are in an interesting point of their of their.
So anyway,
history.
so
But
let me just wrap up real fast with the whole conversation. You know what, Diamondbacks fans, if the Diamondbacks played the whole season like they played the last 2 games, they're going to be an excellent team for years to come. So let's focus on that. Stop worrying about the Dodgers. Stop being obsessed with them. Stop letting them get in your heads. Stop your beat LA chants, because all you're doing is letting the Dodgers live in your heads rent free. Just be a good team. Okay?
We're
And by the way,
we're not tweaking in your pool anymore.
yeah, and by the way, you have no idea how many Diamondbacks ushers are actually closet Dodgers fans. They've told me.
20.
They've quietly said, I'm really a Dodgers fan, but I can't talk about it because I'm wearing Diamondbacks gear as an usher. So, yeah, so just deal with it, man.
All
Just
right.
be a good team.
We'll be back after the break. More gripping conversation. It's the Weekend Warriors right here on 1580 The Fanatic.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-410-6744. 800-410-6744. 800-410-6744.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
AZ Preps 365, your source for all the news, info, highlights, and more. Athlete news and interviews. Talk with coaches. Keep you up to date with the changes, moves, upcoming events, and more. AZ Preps 365, Arizona's ultimate prep sports show. If you miss a minute, you miss a lot. AZ Preps 365, Saturday mornings 8 till 10 on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic, and always on at 1580thefanatic.com.
Huge news. Right now at Wendy's, you can get a Son of Baconator for just $3. I don't think you understand this situation. The Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. You know, smoked bacon, rich melted cheese. That Son of Baconator is only $3. Thank you to whoever wished upon that star. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii, not valid on a combo or on third-party delivery platform.
Mom, where are my keys?
Why do I have to take out the garbage? I'm too sick to go to school. Quit hogging the bathroom! Stop!
If you're having a hard time living with all the noise, it's even harder to live without it. One fake fentanyl pill could cost your child their life. Learn how to talk to your kids at TalkNowAZ.com. This message is sponsored by Substance Awareness Coalition Leaders of Arizona.
Hungry for something exciting? Then come experience what's new at Kasai Japanese Steakhouse with 2 Valley locations. No one does Asian-inspired cuisine better or more authentic than Kasai, where talented Teppanyaki chefs create the food, the fire, and the fun of teppanyaki. Kasai Japanese Steakhouse, it isn't just dinner, it's dinnertainment. A memorable dining experience where a delicious 7-course meal is prepared right at your table with flair. It's the perfect choice for celebrations, date nights, or a night on the town. Choose from over 30 different items and combinations of teppanyaki, Asian fusion, and innovative sushi. Happy hour is always on fire with their daily specials. Try their new $12 bar menu items, Wagyu beef and Mongolian pork sliders, chicken or beef satay, and 3 delicious flavors of chicken courage. 2025 is on fire at Kasai with 2 locations, Scottsdale Road and Thunderbird, and now open in Peoria at the 101 in Northern. Go to KasaiTeppen.com. That's KASAI Teppen.com or search Kasai on your mobile phone.
We
Will Shakespeare here. Back in my day, I invented over 1,700 slang words like swagger, bedazzled, and my personal favorite, besmirch. But even I have trouble understanding slang words like yeet or bougie or...
This is fire.
Actually, it is extremely smooth Shakespeare vodka.
Okay, boomer.
See what I mean? But there is one word that describes the pure quadruple distilled spirit crafted from an 8th century Polish recipe the first time you try it.
So lit.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Shakespeare vodka. So lit.
KQFN Tempe. Also transmitting on K257 CD Phoenix at 99.3 FM and K240 EU Fountain Hills at 95.9 FM.
Here we go.
It's the weekend!
Warriors! Warriors! Come on to play!
Yeah! Here we go!
All right, everybody. It's 11 a.m. on this Saturday morning. Ralph Romano here, alongside my partner in crime, the legend Neil Lynch. Got the legendary Philip M. running the control room. And this is the Weekend Warriors. And we've been talking a lot of baseball, a lot of Diamondback-Dodger rivalry stuff. Good conversation, I think. Really good conversation.
I think so. And if you want to get involved in that conversation, don't sit on the sideline.
Yeah.
Don't stew with your opinion.
Come up to bat.
Come up. Thank you. That's actually very good. Come up to bat. If you have a strong Diamondbacks opinion, we absolutely want to hear it. All right? So hit us up on the Fanatic text line, 888-368-1580, or hit us up on the comments on our live social media streams. That's X, that's YouTube, and that's Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, I think back to what Quiet Cannon said is that, the Dodgers have established themselves as a team to beat, so that's why it is what it is. Yeah, but you know what? We've been the team to beat for the last, 12, 13 years in the NL West, that is. I mean, they've dominated it, so it's I don't know. I think there's jealousy there. There's a lot of things there, so it is.
It's Dodger envy.
It is what it
That's
is.
the term.
And
Dodger envy.
I have one thing to say to Lavello. Torey Lavello, what the heck are you thinking if you're the one helping call pitches? Whoever's calling your pitches, why are you throwing a low inside breaking ball to Ohtani in the top of the ninth, where that's the one spot he hits balls 500 feet from? What are you thinking? That was just a stupid pitch.
So I'm going to defend Torey Lavello a little bit here.
Don't do that.
I have to.
Okay, go ahead.
Because
do it at your own risk.
I have watched a ton of Dodger baseball this year.
Ton.
I literally sat in front of the TV. I have the MLB account thanks to T-Mobile. Thank you very much, guys. So I've watched a ton of Dodger baseball. And consistently, the pitch that Ohtani strikes out on is a breaking pitch on the low and inside. The only difference with what's-his-name, Ginkel, is that he missed. He got it too far over the plate, and that's where he got it. Normally, if that pitch is a couple inches closer, Ohtani whiffs at it, swings and misses, and he's done. I've seen that over and over and over and over and over again. So the only difference with Ginkel is that he missed. But
I feel like Ohtani is starting to get warm.
Finally, yes.
Finally, but his numbers are already outrageous.
I know, his numbers are
I feel
outrageous.
like he's starting to really warm up a little bit.
Well, like you said before, I do appreciate the emotion. Anyway, as far as you know what? I'm done talking about the Diamondbacks-Dodgers thing, but I will say this. The Diamondbacks have a really good team. They need to shore up their bullpen, or their arm barn, as the kids say. I'm just going to run that into the ground. I think they're a good team. That was fun to watch. They're a fun team to watch. If you're a Diamondbacks fan, you have a lot to enjoy. You need to go to the games if you're able to. You need to watch them on TV if you can. I know that's a whole thing, and I think it's stupid as well.
Yeah, it is.
But look, the Diamondbacks are an exciting team. I am beginning to think, though, like a lot, there are other sports people in the Valley who are beginning to say the same thing that I've been thinking for a while, is that maybe the reason why the Diamondbacks can't get over the hump is Torey Lavello.
I'm in that camp.
Really?
Yeah, I am. I'm in that camp.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's really hard to quantify. I mean, you could probably break it down to some of the decisions, right? Like, there was a lot of discussion about the fact that, the Dodgers were hitting the ball down the left field line, and they had outfield playing so far in towards center field that those three hits that happened in the bottom of the ninth or the top of the ninth last night, those were all in the same general area, but they had nobody shading. So, I mean, it's that kind of level, or also the pitch selection, or when you bring in your closers or whatever. I get there's a lot of nuance and subtlety there going on, but ultimately, I think it's more of a leadership thing. Yeah. I don't know if Torey Lavello is the guy to help this team get to that elite level? I don't know.
Phil?
I don't know. I mean, like, if we're all being honest here, Neil, you are the one who touted and said before the series even started that they're going to be entering this series at a prediction from you at 2-2. And
that is correct.
And if you look at the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks right now, I would say that it does heavily lean towards the Dodgers. So to go and bring them to a standstill at 2-2, I think would be a successful weekend. That the Diamondbacks themselves would take that in a heartbeat.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. I think that what you would be looking for is something that you can find more so, I don't know, in the NBA, where a great coach can coach you to a couple victories, maybe even like count for one specific win in a playoff series. In MLB, what I'm mostly looking for is a therapist. I mean, I'm just looking for somebody to soothe. I'm looking for somebody to soothe, all the egos. Make sure that the relievers are fine with their roles as relievers. Make sure that, if you have a star who, we'll talk about the Red Sox later on, is just being utterly absurd, then that they can fulfill a role and everybody's team first, whatever.
So can I put words in your mouth,
please?
Just words.
All right. So, what you're saying is they need a Phil Jackson.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't we all need a Phil Jackson?
Phil Jackson is the epitome of the guy who could coach superstars. To me, from this point for the rest until the day I leave this mortal realm, I'm going to compare anybody who's able to successfully handle superstars like that to Phil Jackson. J.J. Redick, for example, is not yet a Phil Jackson. He might be someday, but he's not now.
Dave Roberts is.
Dave Roberts
certainly
is becoming that, right?
He is that.
And I know Ralph and I disagreed last year in this. I was all over Dave Roberts. I was pretty down on him. He proved something to me this last, during the season with the strategy. Obviously, he had a lot of assistants. He's got a good coaching staff, right? But ultimately, he proved himself, and I was wrong about him. I don't know. I don't know if I'm wrong about Torey Lovello. I feel like that he's a good guy. The players like him, as far as I know. He's a player's coach is the term, whatever that means, right? But ultimately, I don't know if he's going to get him over the top. In a start
and stop sports league that is baseball, where between every action within the play you have an availability and to be called, have the powers that be above you call you to let you know what strategy that they want and in a lot of cases demand you to make, then I think that it really is not going to come down to the X's and O's of baseball. I think it's going to come down to just being somebody who's there to connect to the players and to make them feel appropriate in their roles and to just do their job that is asked of them.
Here's what I hear you saying.
Yeah.
You said that Rocco Baldelli, who's the manager of the Minnesota Twins, that's been the knock on him forever, is that he's not actually coaching. He's just implementing the analytics that are being delivered by the front office or by the quants, by the nerds up in the booth, right, or whatever.
Yeah.
So I see what you're saying. I think that's what you're saying. If I'm not mistaken, is that at some point, and that's an organizational issue, how you run your team, right? Is it all just sabermetrics? Are they just going by the stats? And to me, that's the fault. And I've had this conversation over and over again, and Ralph and I have talked about it. Like early days of the show, we talked about it. Are you data driven? Are you data informed? To me, Dave Roberts has become data informed, whereas perhaps to what you're saying, Torey Lovello is data driven. So he's having to make decisions based on what the quants are telling him, as opposed to his instinct or guts with coaching. His guts.
I mean, in baseball, you can't just be a guy that just
coaching
throws
his guts.
data at you. I mean, you've got to understand the game. You've got to be a very good situational manager. Baseball is a constant battle back. It's like chess. It's a back and forth battle every move that you make. You've got to be really good at that. And David Roberts has proven.
You just call him David?
Is that
Roberts.
How you? That's what
David
Is that what you text him at night?
Yeah. David Matthew.
Roll over and nudge him.
Ignacio Roberts.
By the way, do you know what Anthony
Junior.
Bonda's first name actually is?
No.
I'm not kidding. This is off of MLB.com. It's Frank.
Okay, well.
Frank Bonda.
But I think Roberts has shown that he's becoming a master of that.
He's becoming David.
We'll see. Hey, text line real quick. So Baker's cocky hands on a text line says, seems obvious the D-backs should have just paid Ohtani an extra $20 million per year, and they'd be the better team of the two. No, even if they had Ohtani, they're still not the better team because all they would have is Ohtani. They need a lot more pieces, especially a bullpen.
Yeah, if
don't
they
have
had
a
Ohtani, they would just be the California Angels. Yes, I call them they're not the LA Angels.
Yes.
Stop calling them that. They're the California Angels. They will be that forever.
Chosen Ones on a text line says, I would absolutely agree. Torey Lovello is too analytics driven. He pulls pitchers too early. Now, I agree with that too. He does that a lot. He pulls his pitchers way too early.
Oh, speaking of pulling pitchers early, that's what happened yesterday with Roki Sasaki. He didn't have to come out when he did. Yeah, he had runners at first and second, but let the guy fight out of a battle. I think I'm curious why they're treating him with kid gloves.
Because I think he's a pitcher that I think in the next few years will be great.
Sure.
But he's very young and he's learning, right? And I think they're being careful with his psyche. They're trying to walk him through the process, kind of like Haesung Kim. They're taking their time. They're giving him a little bit of kid gloves. They see what they've got, but they also don't want to crush him.
Sounds like permissive parenting.
I think it's smart. I think with him it's very smart. I think
you're coddling him. I think you're spoiling him.
Coddle this. Phil.
Yes.
I want to talk about Rafael Devers.
Devers, yes,
Devers,
absolutely.
I'm sorry. Rafael Devers.
Oh, by the way, before you talk about this topic, I do want to clarify. I do want to correct myself publicly on the air.
Correct yourself.
And acknowledge that Phil is correct. It is quaff. It is not coif.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I looked at the diacritic marking on the definition, and it is quaff. So thank you very much. I just want to make sure. I've been riddled with guilt since I said that, and now I've got it off my chest. Now I feel better.
That's
Thank
all
you.
right.
It's a lot more
go
you
ahead.
get off your chest.
Gentlemen, please go ahead.
Yes. Now put my holy Pope staff on you on both shoulders. You are forgiven, my child. All right. Look, the Boston Red Sox have an outstanding dilemma on their hands.
Outstanding.
It's incredible that their disgruntled star Rafael Devers is so far down the rabbit hole that he's having to meet up with the owner. The owner of the Red Sox, John Henry, has to go down and meet Rafael Devers because apparently Rafael Devers, he is so in the weeds of his role as a designated hitter that he, when asked, "Hey, can you maybe go up and do some try your hand at a different position?" He came back to the Red Sox and said, "Bite this and see what finger sticks back at you." My goodness, this guy, Rafael Devers, who's lest I say, signed a 10-year, $313.5 million contract with Boston just last year. We haven't even gotten halfway through this. He's already there, is already just making a thing. And look, with that contract, you have a certain amount of leverage. With that contract, you become the focal point of the entire organization, really. And I understand that if there's something that you don't want to do, you have more power than, say, the last guy on the roster to say no, right? And if you want to implement that leverage, fine. You know what? Like that is part of the leverage that you have negotiated. That is part of the leverage that you have negotiated as part of being the players' union. I'll grant that. But what I have a problem with, me, Phil, sitting here in a small little room in the middle of Scottsdale, what I have a problem with is just insulting my intelligence, where he comes out and he says, "Look, guys, here's the thing, is that I just don't think it's going to be smart for anybody. That I don't think it's going to be the best position that I can put my team in by me going this late into the season and trying to make a position change. Well, I should focus on being a designated hitter." Buddy, but hello, you're not going to switch to first base because you are so focused on what you're doing as a designated hitter. That's all you're focused on. And for the most part, until this year, you were focused on playing baseball, playing the field. And now you're saying that for some unforsaken reason, that because they asked you to take a step down, because they so didn't believe in your defense out in the field, that they asked you to just stay for the betterment of the team as a designated hitter, and now you're there, you're going to be pouty like a little child and just say, "Hey, guess what? Eat this and see where the sun don't shine. I can't go to first base because of you." Again, if you don't want to do it, so be it. I mean, I guess if you have that ability to say no, then say no. But to say like, "Oh, I don't think it's very smart for me to do," we all know what the game is. Don't insult my intelligence. Just be like, "You know what, this is a baseball decision." There are so many different just base level answers that you could have given, that when you're saying it's in our best strategic advantage to not change position, and I don't think it's smart for me to switch out what I'm focused on as being a designated hitter. Get out of here. This isn't Ohtani that we're talking about, where he's like, you know what, this year I'm going to focus on stealing the bases because I'm not being a pitcher anymore. Or if he were to all of a sudden be like, you know what, I'm going to focus on pitching because as a two-way player it might make more sense for me to focus on pitching, recovering from an injury. Okay, at least that I understand. A hitter? A designated hitter is what you're saying that I need to focus all my attention on? Get out of here, Rafael Devers. Get out of here. Oh, my God.
I think he's just pissed off because they wanted him to be a DH, and he thought he was more than that, so he had to swallow his pride to do that. But again,
sure,
he swallowed it with $313 million.
Yes.
I mean, and now you're going to come back and tell your team, I'm not going to do this? You know what my answer would have been? Here's a ticket to AAA. Go have fun. I would have sent him down for a little bit, just to smack him around a little bit. And still paying his contract, I get that. But I would have moved him down to say, you're going to do what I tell you to do, or you're going to go ride a bus in the minors. What do you want to do?
Yeah, I think that's a tough situation, and we're entering an era of sports where arguably the players have a lot more leverage because of things like social media and because of the ridiculous amounts of money being offered and stuff. I get that, right? I do think there's still a place in the world for integrity and for character and for doing what's asked of you as a team. Can you imagine this conversation taking place at, let me think of a team. Oh, yeah, the Dodgers. Can you imagine if they went up to Shohei Ohtani and said, listen, Shohei, we're kind of down at second base. We need you to play it. Shohei would be like, listen, man, I don't know how to play this position, but I'll do it. I'll do my best for the team. Like if you asked him anything, look at Mookie Betts.
Yeah, great example.
He's been playing in right field forever. It's like, make me a shortstop. Yeah. So I just think it's such a bad look to do that, especially in this day and age, right?
The quote is, I know I'm a ball player, but at the same time, they can't expect me to play every single position out there.
What position?
I would like to think that he knows that changing positions isn't easy. They put me in this situation. They told me they didn't want me to play any other positions. Buddy, like I don't understand. We're not asking you to go play catcher. We're not asking you to go play in the outfield. We're not asking you to go play pitcher. Like, my God, this is first base. My God.
Even if they were asking him that.
Even if they were.
Show me in your contract where it states that you only get to be a DH.
Or you only get to be third base. Like
it doesn't say that.
It doesn't.
You do what I tell you to do as your manager. We're paying you $30 million a year to play for this team. My gosh, you're only batting .253 with 6 knocks this year. It's not like you're setting the world on fire. Shut up and go play where we need you. You need to. It's about team. It's not about you. Telling you, send him to Pawtucket.
I forget the brother, not Tim Hasselbeck who played for the Seattle Seahawks, but his brother that also played in the NFL.
That was Tim. Matt.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Was it Tim? Okay. Yeah. So it was Tim who was playing for whoever I think he got drafted by the Green Bay Packers, and he was like, as perennially as the Packers always do, like they have like 4 quarterbacks whenever, and they were like trying to see. So he's like, as the 4th quarterback, I didn't get any playing time. So what they had in order to justify my being there because of the position and everything else, I was playing long snapper, getting into there. I never even played long snapper, but you know what? I went out and did it anyway because I was drafted by them. If they want me to go out there and play left tackle, I'll go out there and give it my darndest. You know, like it's absurd. To think that you are so above it. Like, again, it's the insulting of my intelligence to say I cannot. They want me to play every position out in the field. Oh my! Give me a break. Give me a gosh darn Tootsie Roll, because that is just the biggest load of honka that I've ever seen.
Break you off a piece of that Kit Kat bar?
Oh, break me off a piece of this. Well, my God.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa. Golden Domer's on text line says, we would like to know how he really feels about Devers.
Oh my God! This is.
How do you really feel?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Golden Domer wants to know.
I feel like you're being obscure. You're not really saying how you feel. Can you really get into it?
At least Nick Sirianni makes his infantile behavior obvious. My goodness, this Rafael Devers is just cry me a river. Oh, it's going to be so hard in the middle of the season to go to first base. Get out of here.
Well, if you remember the movie Moneyball, when they try to get Hatterberg to play first, and Billy Bean's like, hey, tell him how easy it is. And the coach is like, it's incredibly hard. Yeah. First base is no slouch, right? I get it.
Yes,
it is a tough position to learn. There are, as a person who played first base in the years he played baseball and mostly softball, I can tell you, yeah, it is difficult for its own reasons, but it's not impossible. Okay, I figure if Kike Hernandez can figure out how to play first, I'm sure the Devers can as well.
Yeah.
So
and again,
yeah,
it's not
I
like
agree.
It's not like he's like 2 years removed, like he's Albert Pujols on the like last year, where it's like, hey, can you play the third base or first base or something like that, and just like have him like learn again? Where it's like, you probably don't want to. Like he was heading into the season going to be playing out in the. Oh my God, it's outrageous.
All right, we're up against a break. So
are we now?
We are up against a break. So
yeah, we're up against something.
We're up against something. All I'm going to say.
The end of my rope.
All I'm going to say is I'm only here so we don't get fined. It's the Weekend Warriors on 1580 The Fanatic.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
Paid for by government. Did you hear? A recent stash of $10 gold Liberty coins from the 1800s has been found. These gorgeous gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck in the late 1800s, and less than 200 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this gold find an incredible opportunity. Call 1-800-222-3967 and you are guaranteed a $10 gold Liberty coin minted by the U.S. Mint in the 1800s. But with extremely limited availability, you must call now. These gold Liberty coins from the 1800s are still in uncirculated condition. That is history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-222-3967. Call now and you'll receive a free American Coin Collector's Bonus Package, a $40 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-222-3967 now to secure your $10 gold Liberty coins dated from the 1800s before they sell out. That's 1-800-222-3967.
Huge news. Right now at Wendy's, you can get a Son of Baconator for just $3. I don't think you understand this situation. The Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. You know, smoked bacon, rich melted cheese. That Son of Baconator is only $3. Thank you to whoever wished upon that star. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii, not valid on a combo or in third-party delivery platforms.
Huge news. Right now at Wendy's, you can get a Son of Baconator for just $3. I don't think you understand this situation. The Son of Baconator is only $3 for a limited time. You know, smoked bacon, rich melted cheese. That Son of Baconator is only $3. Thank you to whoever wished upon that star. For bacon that just won't quit, gotta be Wendy's.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii, not valid on a combo or in third-party delivery platform.
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because they get $150 in bonus bets when they bet $5, win or lose. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. And see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Arizona. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. T&Cs apply. Available in app only.
If you're age 62 or older and own a home, this message is for you. Reverse Rob here, Money Radio's expert on reverse mortgages. Learn how to tap the equity in your home and increase the quality of your life by earning tax-free income while protecting your other retirement assets. Join us for our free Second Saturdays webinar every month to learn more. This is not too good to be true. All you need to do is reverse your thinking. Call me today, Reverse Rob, to learn more at 602-REVERSE. That's 602-738-3773, or download my app by searching Retire Right with Reverse Rob.
Your home for sports.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
You're live. It's the Weekend Warriors on 1580 The Fanatic.
You know, if you want to knock Mama out or make comments about anything, hit us up on the Fanatic text line.
On Mother's Day week?
Yes, on Mother's Day week. That's like, so many things there. Hit us up on the Fanatic text line, 888-368-1580, or comments on our live social media streams on X, YouTube, and the Book of Many Faces, a.k.a. Facebook.
Book of Many Faces. Speaking of the text line.
Speaking of it.
We've got text from, let me see here. We got Baker's Cocky Hen says, Torey Lovello started to pull out early after having his third. Oh, my goodness. Seriously, though, he's never been a good game manager. Maybe I got suckered into that. I go,
you need to
maybe he's good with the locker room and even better kissing the GM's arse.
Okay, so he pulled out a loss from the jaws of victory. That's where he was obviously going with.
That's where he was going. I got to read these a little more.
Yeah, you
sometimes.
should. Yeah, you need to. Yeah.
Here's a guy I can trust. Bitter Dolphins.
Here's a guy.
He's on the text line. Says, I know times have changed, but in the 70s and 80s, the Yankees were called the Evil Empire because they bought all the good players. Now the Dodgers are doing the same, and yes, money makes the world go round. But I miss the days of team developing players and making savvy trades. We'll never see a homegrown developed infield of Garvey, Lopes, Russell, and Say again. I know times have changed. I know the Dodgers are the Yankees of the 70s. Now the Dodgers are the Yankees of the 70s and 80s. Rich, I do agree. So that it's interesting you brought that up. We were talking last week about the Rockies, right?
Yes.
And I
Right.
thought to myself right away.
Historically bad season, my
Lasorda
God.
was the manager for the Albuquerque Dukes. Garvey, Lopes, Russell, and Say were all with the Albuquerque Dukes. That whole group came up to L.A., and that's how they started rebuilding the Dodgers.
Yes.
Right? And we talked about how it'd be a good idea for the Rockies to kind of bring their AAA manager up, bring some of their players up and start a rebuild. That's a great idea for the Rockies, and he brings it up. I forgot. That's exactly what the Dodgers did to get themselves going back in the late 70s.
Yep.
So a really good point. And you're right. I mean, you're not going to see much of this anymore nowadays. But what I will say about a team like the Dodgers, for instance, 3 years ago or 4 years ago in the draft, they went and drafted 12 pitchers in the draft. And the next year, I think they drafted 10. Those guys right now are all sitting in the minors. Some are going up and down, and they're studs. Their Dodgers have so much pitching. These guys can't even move up in the organization because there's nowhere to go.
So good at drafting.
So, I mean, you just have to be good at the basic stuff like drafting to get to those points. Have the Dodgers bought into, buying and spending money on Ohtani? Absolutely. But remember, Ohtani's not going to win you the World Series. You got to have the pitching. You got to have the bullpen depth. You got to have the defense. There's a lot of other things you need to have. And the Dodgers have just done a great job of taking those young guys and cultivating them into great major league players.
And we all know that the Ohtani trade or the Ohtani signing, there is a much larger business picture around that.
Of course.
Than just him performing on the field.
Of course.
It was about capturing the Japanese market, et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely.
And for some reason, and I guess I don't understand why no other organization had the vision to do that, because it wasn't like it was a secret. Any organization, the Angels could have done that, and they didn't do it.
They made a huge mistake.
The
Angels,
Diamondbacks could have done that, and they didn't do it. But the Guggenheim Partners, that group, they saw the potential revenue of having an international superstar, and I guarantee you, to this day, every Dodger game that airs, there are more people watching in Japan than there are in the States.
Yeah, the only other team that I think you could say truly valued that, to your point, Neil, was like the Seattle Mariners, who were are never really in any big free agency market. So they were like, whoa, where are the Seattle Mariners coming from all this? Oh, it's because they have a built-in, natural fan base there that could boom if they were to. But you're right. It was an undervalued acquisitional asset.
Absolutely. I mean, you're right. Ichiro, when he was there, they really tapped into that up in Seattle. But
yeah,
I thought that if Ohtani didn't become a Dodger, he would go to Seattle.
Oh yeah, I feel like they placed
That's
number
interesting.
two.
That would be good. So, all this talk about baseball has I almost forgot. I almost forgot that the White Sox have a new pope. So,
well, there's some discussion. So is the Pope a White Sox fan or a Cubs fan?
Well, there's video and images of him present at the 2005 World Series
in a White Sox hat,
in a White Sox uniform, and a White Sox hat. So I think it's fair to say that the new Pope Leo XIV is a White Sox fan. So there have been so many fantastic memes and jokes about this. First of all, everybody is thrilled, right? Especially the people of Chicago. Every Catholic school in America is. I mean, I'm not even exaggerating.
You're right,
They're super excited about this, right? But it's so funny, all of the memes that have come out since then, like the fact that the blood of Christ is now Malort, and the body of Christ is now Chicago deep dish.
Oh, geez.
Can you imagine Pope Leo Chicago telling the other Italians in Vatican City, this is how you cut a pizza square. You don't cut it in slices.
Blaspheming.
I know, it's so amazing. But no, I think it's so funny how everybody's gotten behind this. And my favorite joke about the whole thing, which again ties back to our favorite,
which we're going
soon to be NFL player, Shedeur Sanders. Maybe. There's a joke going around that Mel Kiper is ticked off that Shedeur Sanders wasn't elected Pope.
That's so
I
funny.
absolutely love that. It's so on brand for Mel Kiper. But yeah, so congratulations to the city of Chicago, the first American pope in the history of the Catholic Church. And
the first of many.
He's a guy who's from Chicago. So he's gonna be like, peace be with you, except for the Green Bay fans. Yeah, so that's
as a complete side note, though. Did you know that like what his position was before he was the Pope?
No.
I
thought he was a missionary to Peru.
Yeah,
or
so
something.
the Cardinals are the ones who elect who the next Pope is.
Yes.
He was the guy that approved and like then brought everybody into the cardinalship or whatever. Like if you're a new cardinal, he was the one who approved you. So he brought in like 100 new guys, and I was like, just looking at this from a pure betting standpoint, as I am wont to do. I was like, why was he at 100-1 odds? Like if he's the guy who's like, hey, I owe my job to you, you might be the. So I was like, fascinating side note.
I do love the video they show of the I forget what the balcony where the Pope comes out.
Yeah.
And as he's emerging, you hear the NFL draft chime. Do 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 do. With the first pick in the papal draft, the Cardinals select Robert. Is it Provost?
Whatever.
Anyway,
Pope Leo now.
Thought that was funny.
And to all you doomsdayers, relax. We know.
Pope Leo.
The prophecy of the final Pope being American does not mean the world is coming.
Yeah,
to an
I
end.
don't.
That is a prophecy out there, so I don't want to get
Who's-
religion
who's
here.
making that
I have to go
prophecy?
back and look, but they did say that the final Pope, the last Pope of the world as we know it, would
Was
be
that
American.
Lord Maitreya? Good grief.
No.
We're going back into the old school stuff.
Well, I
here.
just hope before Armageddon gets here, Shador can lead the the Browns to the Super Bowl one last time.
Speaking of Shador, kinda.
Oh, here we go again.
Did you hear that the NFL was being sued for $100 million over the draft slide of Shador Sanders? What? Now, Neil has done some hardcore investigative research on this issue, and he comes to us today with that research.
I come to you today
In the
on the day of Shador Sanders' lawsuit. No. So on May 1st, a lawsuit was filed with the U.S. District Court in the Northern District of Georgia. So someone in Atlanta. Filed the lawsuit. By the way, the plaintiff in the lawsuit is anonymous. It's John Doe.
Dun, dun, dun.
So some anonymous person, an anonymous person in the state of Georgia who happens to be a supporter of the Colorado Buffaloes, University of Colorado.
Ah, makes sense.
Which means he's a skier.
Filed the law in Georgia. Yeah, we had the skiing thing from last week. I forgot about that. Anyway, the lawsuit was filed in U.S. District Court in Georgia.
In Georgia, not in Kentucky.
A legend. Not Kentucky, Georgia.
Oh, he's back.
He's back. He's back. Belvedere's back. Oh, Belvedere. All right. So here's the case. John Doe versus National Football League, District Court. The plaintiff describes himself as an NFL consumer and a fan of University of Colorado quarterback Shador Sanders. He is basically suing the league for a number of things. The nature of the complaint is that the NFL clubs colluded to depress Shador Sanders' draft position. And despite his, quote, exceptional talent, unquote, this is in the complaint, by the way. The complaint leaked.
It's true.
It says, the complaint says that leaked comments about tanked interview, wasn't prepared, too cocky, created a false defamatory narrative that both harmed Sanders' earning potential and inflicted severe emotional distress and trauma on the plaintiff as a devoted fan. So this guy is suing because Shador Sanders didn't get drafted first and it hurt his feelings. This is not a joke. I'm not making this up. And here are the legal theories that are being advanced. The arguments being made in this lawsuit are, number one, antitrust. The clubs conspired to let Sanders fall, restraining trade in player labor. Okay, so they're trying to cite the Sherman Act for antitrust. And then, of course, the famous one that you would expect to be done in a case like this is it's a civil rights a violation of the Civil Rights Act. The draft decision may have been influenced by racial bias.
So stupid.
The key word there is may. There's no evidence being supported. There's nothing being presented. It's may, right? And then, of course, the famous intentional affliction of emotional drama. The slanderous leaks and the collusion caused the plaintiff, this John Doe, psychological harm. The emotional injury to a fan is claimed to be a foreseeable given the league's prominence. So in other words, if the league does something you don't like, you should be able to sue them.
Wow.
I don't like the way that Derek Carr was treated in Las Vegas, therefore I'm going to sue. Also, too, another legal tenet was an unnamed state statute on consumer protection laws. They said the draft portrayed as merit-based, but was, quote, unfair and deceptive. So, would you like to know what this plaintiff is asking for in damages and relief?
I would love to.
All right.
Because if it's anything under $100 million, I will sue them for not asking
All
for
right,
more.
so you got that part covered, right? The monetary damages, $100 million.
Oh, shoot, was it?
So it was explicitly stated for $100 million plus compensatory damages of an unspecified amount as the court deems appropriate. Okay,
That's so funny.
Now here are the non-monetary relief being asked for in the lawsuit. Number one, a formal acknowledgement of the emotional harm.
Agreed.
Number two, retraction and public apology for statements about Sanders.
Hear they?
So you are not allowed to have an opinion about a player and state it publicly because somebody might get their little feelings hurt. And the last one is a court-ordered reforms to make the draft, quote, fairer. Now,
wow,
unspecified?
Amen.
Of course.
Amen.
So here's the thing. You're going to love this. Here's some other notes, okay?
Keep on preaching.
Here's some notes.
Keep preaching your filth.
A complaint was filed. I can't pronounce the Latin. It's called Informa Papyrus. If any attorneys out there can. Informa Papyrus, which means the plaintiff cannot afford the filing fee.
Oh my God!
I'm not even joking.
So this is some poor broke ass dude.
Now there's no counsel of record, so John Doe appears pro se, so it means he's representing himself. Yeah. Okay, so he's representing himself anonymously in a lawsuit against the National Football League because he got his little feelings hurt. And many assertions are conclusory. Success would require factual proof of an illegal agreement among 32 clubs and a casual link to plaintiff's personal damages. Very high hurdles in antitrust and emotional distress cases or contexts.
I mean, I think we've heard enough. I think this is. I think this is obviously going to get thrown out. I mean, this is just stupidity. You can't sue over this. You can't win this. It's an absolute asinine.
What world do we live in where somebody, and this is what kills me, and this happens way more often than we want to admit, but my goodness, seriously, can you imagine all the lawsuits I would have filed? If I could file a lawsuit for a league hurting my feelings, how many times would I have sued the NBA? How many times would I have sued the NFL? I mean, how many times would I have sued Major League Baseball?
I mean, this guy obviously doesn't listen to our show. He would have sued us over and over.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Why don't you sue us, dude? Yeah, come after us. Like,
no, Neil. You never invite. Never say
intentional affliction of severe emotional distress. Give me a break. You got to be kidding me. That's ridiculous. And it's funny. The favorite part is he couldn't afford the filing fee, and he can't afford an actual attorney. He's just doing it himself. That's crazy.
He's obviously just doing it to get attention. I mean, this is.
But he's not even getting attention. Like it's not named. It's John Doe. Was it going to come out later? Like that's just ridiculous to me.
I don't know. I'm done.
Yeah, I'd settle for $20 million and an apology.
Oh my God,
that's what I'd settle for, and nothing less.
I wanted to ask you one thing because I know you're a Sanders backer for whatever ungodly reason.
Yes, that's true. You should be in on this. Maybe you could be a co-plaintiff in this lawsuit.
Yeah, he probably.
I believe my custom signed Sanders jersey will be coming in any day now.
Yeah, that's great. Did they give it to you? Because it's not worth a penny. I wanted to ask you specifically. So I know you heard the story where it came out that the Giants, they installed some mistakes intentionally into their playbook.
Yeah.
And then they had Shedeur Sanders come in and do the meeting, and he stumbled and obviously didn't pick the things up, and then he got pissed off in the meeting because they did that to him. Did you hear that?
I did hear that.
And what's your take on that? So, I mean, that's the Giants were saying that was the reason they passed on him, because they saw his reaction. They saw him basically be the little spoiled brat who couldn't figure it out because they made him look bad. So, and then he got all upset, and then that was the end of it. What's your reaction to something that basic?
I think it depends on how it can be perceived, right? Like if he gets upset by strictly the facts of he didn't see it, then yeah, I think that's, you should expect better, and you should be able to man up and be like, oh, you know what, I didn't see that, you're right, all that. But if it's like, hey, dum-dum, you missed the wheel route back here, and we labeled it a wide out route, then I'd be like, like maybe that wasn't presented in the best thing, and then that's inflammatory towards him, which, if we've seen the coaching style of the New York Giants, it's certainly anything but hugs and kisses, so I can imagine that it's certainly a divisive room, to say the least, from time to time. That being said, though, if I accept it at its premise, at its base service, you're right. I do think that I think we've all agreed at this base level that in an interview process, I think it's always best to put your best foot forward. However, this is a rare case where I think that the results and the interview process started at an earlier time than just going in for the formal meeting. I think that, you may not like the CEO who walks into your room, but if he's the man who single-handedly brought Yoo-Hoo milk back to prominence where everybody's drinking it, you know what? I kind of got to go with the Yoo-Hoo guy who keeps singing Yoo-Hoo. That's my guy. Shedeur Sanders is my Yoo-Hoo.
Well, Yoo-Hoos are fattening and cause diabetes, so good for you.
That is a leg well forgotten.
No, I'm just doing the scissors because it's time to go to a break.
I'm
way over.
Flabbergasted by his answer, so I'm just I don't.
Well, no, I
get
it. You're stunned, and I would not be surprised if Phil became a co-plaintiff in this lawsuit very shortly. So
I will be laughing my way to the throne that is awaiting me at the Harmon Solar Stadium, or wherever it is that Ralph presides at night. When Shedeur Sanders is in the playoffs for the third time in a row, and I will say, "Hey Ralph, how about those Sander Nuggies that is everywhere?" Because he's still with KFC. How are you enjoying them? And you're going to say they're delicious, Philip.
All right, Chosen One's on a text line. We'll get to that after the break. He kind of is getting in on this also, which I think he's bringing up a really interesting thing. I was thinking about that exact same thing. Be back after the break. It's Weekend Warriors on 1580 The Fanatic.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
David is a real Prevagen user, and this is his story.
Nice to meet you. My name is David. I've been a pharmacist for 44 years, and I'm from Flowery Branch, Georgia. When I first started taking Prevagen, I noticed stuff just seemed to come together and fit like a jigsaw puzzle. When I have customers come in, I recommend Prevagen. Number one, because it's safe and effective, does not require a prescription, and I've been taking it quite a while myself, and I know it works. I wouldn't recommend something like Prevagen if I didn't think it was worth it because it works so good for me. And I love it when the customers come back in and tell me, David, that really works so good. Makes my day.
Prevagen, at stores everywhere without a prescription. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Testimonialist was compensated for their time.
Stop by Sherwin-Williams and get 30% off select paints and stains May 2nd through the 12th. It's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Refresh your home inside and out with colors that make every space feel brand new. From cozy interiors to stunning exteriors, we've got the perfect shade for your next project. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Hey everybody, Mark Asher, back to tell you about my great friends over at the Lund Mortgage Team. As most of you might know, I'm a big fan of loyalty and longevity. I love companies based right here in Arizona that have been around doing some great things for a long, long time. And oh boy, has the Lund Mortgage Team done just that. In the mortgage game, they're one of the best. In fact, I think they are the best. And I've been telling people about the Lund Mortgage Team for decades now, and I'll continue to do that as long as they continue to take care of all our listeners, and they do that every single day. So you could be next. Call today, 623-875-9940. Look, the Lund Mortgage Team, they're mortgage brokers. That gives them the unique opportunity to shop your rate around. They've also been in business so long, they realize fees are not the most important thing. They keep those nice and low. Call today, 623-875-9940, whether it's a HELOC, whether it's a new home loan, refinance, you name it, they've got you covered. LundMortgage.com or call 623-875-9940.
I'm Angela Gonzalez, reporting from Phoenix. We're talking with the community about Phoenix Police Department. Ma'am, what do you think?
Oh, I love them. They're our local heroes. We've had some problems around here with break-ins and people using drugs on the streets. The police work with our community to have a presence in our neighborhood and keep our streets safe.
Thank you, Phoenix Police.
Gracias a la Policía de Phoenix.
Thank you, Phoenix Police.
Rise to serve. Find more today at joinphxpd.com. Protect and serve with the elite.
Sponsored by the City of Phoenix.
1580 The Fanatic and at 1580thefanatic.com.
Your home for sports.
The Weekend Warriors on 1580 The Fanatic.
So Ralph and I were talking before we get to the text real fast. Ralph and I were talking at the break. You know, I don't know why I didn't. We were talking about the lawsuit, right? So here's I don't know why I didn't think of this before, but the funniest thing about the lawsuit is that this anonymous person, he isn't suing in order to make things better necessarily for Shedeur Sanders. He wants the money. You treated somebody else poorly, so I want $100 million. That's pretty much what it's about.
Total sense to me.
That's amazing. Again, if this is possible and if this gets legs, oh man, the people I'm going to sue for stuff like this.
Oh my gosh.
Holy
I'm going
cow.
after Phil instantly.
This is going to be...
You're going to sue me first?
You're talking about my
I'm going to
nuggies.
sue Phil first.
You leave my nuggies alone.
Yeah. I'm going to sue Phil because he's more attractive than I am. Phil, it is not fair. It is not fair that you are a better looking human being than I am. So I want $100 million.
Can I sue Sports Girlie for dating Phil? Because it bothers me. She's better. She's too good for you.
She is.
Oh yeah, no, I think that's true. I think we should sue Sports Girlie.
You know, because Weekend Warriors
because she is monopolizing the sexy male demographic.
She's
we can't have
property
that.
of the Weekend Warriors as a whole. Not
Yeah,
just Phil.
exactly. $100 million. It's all
$100 million.
I don't care. I don't care if you get anything out of her if it makes your life better. I just want $100 million. Anyway, okay, I'm done talking about it. Done.
Sounds good.
Okay, back to the text line before we destroy everyone's relationships.
That's perfect.
This is a chosen one saying, reminds me of draft day, where they put the $100 bill at the back of the playbook to see if players go through the entire book.
Oh, yes.
Shedeur acts as an entitled, I won't say that last word,
lover of fine art?
It starts with a P, ends with a K. Puck.
Child.
Puck.
Yeah.
Pucker face?
Well, listen, what I love about this show is that despite everything, we have good balance on this show. The balance is that Ralph and I
have strong
both
opinions on Shedeur Sanders.
Yes, Ralph and I both dislike Shedeur Sanders' act. We both hope that he turns into a great player.
I really don't.
Well, you don't. Okay, so
that is like Ralph's nightmare that he wakes up every night in a cold sweat.
Ralph, like if he proves himself in the field, he becomes the thing. Then I'll be the first person to apologize. Okay, and say, "Yep, I was wrong about Shedeur Sanders." But we have Phil. Phil is a Shedeur apologist, unapologetically. Ironically, all the apologies happening at once.
I'm sorry that I'm not sorry.
And I love that for us. I really do.
You know, bitter Dolphin fans on a text line that says Phil should be sued for picking the Rams over the Dolphins. He's never let that go, man.
He really has not. And you know what's so funny is that like I got my just desserts. Like I know I didn't pay bitter Dolphin fan directly, but trust me, I paid for it. And that loss haunts me, and yet he still tries to bring it up as the clown that follows you with a chainsaw ever in my mind. Like it's like, yes, I remember that week and month that I had to go and eat nonstop ramen. I remember it. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it.
I love that bitter Dolphin fan will never let you forget that.
Oh my gosh.
I think it's phenomenal.
That is too funny.
I can't wait for the next 4 years, because then when the rotation finally gets set and the Rams play the Dolphins again,
4 more years. Yeah. 4 more years.
All right, Phil. Enough with Sanders. I'm sick of talking about him.
Yes.
How about Jalen Milroe? I know you wanted to have you kept saying some stuff about him, so I'm gonna leave this to Phil.
Yeah, Phil.
He's got some comments about the Seahawks quarterback draft and Jalen Milroe.
Don't make me sad, or I'll sue you.
Oh, I'll try not to.
Don't upset me.
I might make Ralph happy though, so you might,
Okay, make
you
me
might, that
happy.
might make you sad.
I'll
though,
sue
Neil.
Ralph then.
Yeah,
That's fine.
It'll be a countersuit. Yeah, absolutely. I find it ironic that the Seattle Seahawks traded away their current franchise quarterback in Geno Smith for their next potential franchise quarterback in Jalen Milroe. Like, look, I think Jalen Milroe at a 3rd-round pick has a much better shot at being a franchise quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks and what they position than even other possible second-rounders are in other sports. You know, like a second-round pick quarterback in the Saints or with Tyler Shaw or whatever, however you pronounce his name. I think Jalen Milroe has a much better path to success and a chance to actually be a starter in this league than he does over at the Saints. I think that the Seattle Seahawks will also, the fact that they're making packages for him to play right off the bat from day one is incredibly reassuring. That's the fact, and Jalen Milroe, by all accounts, seems to be a professional, just a guy that everybody walks around, loves him. He's apparently a great leader, all that stuff, which, you know, usually, former topics aside, is par for the course. Look, Ralph, it's funny that I feel like this pick kind of came and went, and you aren't nearly as excited about it as I am, as when Jalen Milroe is seen like maybe as not just like Jalen Hurts, light. He's actually seen as like people are like he could possibly be like Jalen Hurts 2.0, like much better than what Jalen Hurts was coming out as a 3rd or 2nd round pick himself coming into Philadelphia. I think that you have a gem on your hands.
I think, it's interesting to me, right? Because it's ironic. It's deja vu, because I think back to 2012 draft, right? Seahawks quarterback was Tavares Jackson the season before. They kind of got rid of him. Kind of reminds me of Geno Smith a little bit in the play style. They went in after the free agent Matt Flynn. They signed Matt Flynn to a contract, right?
Blast from the past.
And he was had to be a starter. Kind of was like you got Sam Darnold, you brought in as a quarterback to be a starter, and then all of a sudden they draft Russell Wilson in the 3rd round. And what do they do this year? They draft Jalen Milroe. It's so similar. It's a little scary. I think Milroe has a little bit more work he needs to do.
Oh, yes.
Than Russ did. I thought Russ was pretty polished coming in.
Yeah, Russ was like the Shedeur Sanders of his draft, the
Right.
most ready-made.
He wasn't the
quarterback right
Shedeur
now.
Sanders.
No, you already said right. Thank you. I appreciate it. Continue.
Jeez. But it's ironic, right? I think you're going to see them use Milroe as a Seneca Wallace type this year. I think you'll see him coming in packages, and I do think he has the potential to be the franchise quarterback if he can shore up the throwing the ball mid level. That's his weakest point, I think, is just his mid game. If he can fix his mid game, the guy has a great deep game. He's fast. He's great in the pocket. He's everything Shedeur's not. I think he could absolutely be a friend. I'm excited. I really am. I know we're not going to see it this year. I'm really curious to see what we see with Darnold this year. I don't think Darnold's a long-term answer. But yeah, I am kind of excited about it. We'll see.
And in a fantastic position where Sam Darnold was brought in on honestly a quarterback friendly deal, like the rare, almost like the Baker Mayfield now will become the Baker Mayfield deal becomes the Sam Darnold deal, where it's a middle run of the mill starting quarterback deal that we rarely see. Usually it's like you're re-upping to top of the quarterback line, quarterback contracts, and this one is not that. It's going to be just a completely average contract that you can get rid out of as early as next year, if you so chose.
It's a 1 year now.
And if you like him, you keep him around for another year. You've got him for 3 years, and by the beginning of that 3rd year, even if Jalen Milroe is not your guy, you can go by that point and draft a guy that you do feel comfortable with in the 1st round. Yeah, and with that availability, with that extra cap savings that you have due to Sam Darnold's affordable contract, you can really build a team around him that is both set for him and ready-made now for Jalen Milroe if he becomes the quarterback of the future. Also, what brings me a lot of poise and promise for Jalen Milroe, the fact that his hands can grow inches in weeks. Like, that's incredible. Neil, did you see this story where Jalen Milroe, coming into the draft, he went into the combine, and the biggest thing against him, they're like, oh, he could have possibly been a 1st rounder, but his hand was about like 2 inches short that day. You know, it was like a real The Grinch Who Stole Christmas story. And then somehow, some way, when they went to the Alabama Pro Day, lo and behold, his hands had grown 2 inches within that month's time. Damn. And he was there saying, yeah, I really stretched out my hands, really stretched out my fingers, and I used this new exercise bands that they have there that really stretch. I'm like, phooey. That's that Alabama math right there. They're adding 1 plus my
Alabama
cousin
math.
equals a fully formed hand. That's what that was.
As an alum of Alabama, that comment caused me distress. I'm going to sue you. I want $100 million, and I want you to apologize for hurting my feelings.
Let me tell you one thing, Neil. I don't have $100 million.
Yeah, well, that's So,
Yeah.
that is so weird to me. What voodoo did this man do?
Did he do?
The voodoo he
What
do so
voodoo
well.
did he do?
How did he do that? I think there was some dark magic involved. This is the same dark magic that allows the Chiefs to get all the calls in games. I think it's the same thing. I think Jalen Milroe tapped into that dark magic.
You know, Hefty Lefty's on a text line says Milroe is cool and all, but did you know we are 5 days away from the PGA Championship? Darn it, people! This is golf. Go back to your shanties.
That actually does remind me. The NBA playoffs are coming up, and we have had an incredible second round of the playoffs here.
Nope.
Yeah, we have. Look.
Yes, we have. I agree. The Timberwolves splitting the series with Golden State, heading back to the Bay Area, tied 1-1.
Any time that the pathetic, lowly New York Knickerbockers have a 2-0 on the road advantage against the Boston Celtics, Ralph, that's got to bring a happy tear to your eye. That's got to make you
I am
pucker up.
excited about the Knicks doing that. I'm excited about that. I think that's great.
Yes.
I mean, do I ultimately really care?
You were laughing about something. And it must have
no!
been a text.
I saw a text from Brandon Texter, and he said, "Can the Jalen Milroe's finger stretch be compared to the Kyler Murray height stretch?" That's funny.
That is funny.
I love this. I love this about Cardinals fans is that only the most delusional think that Kyler Murray is the answer. I do appreciate the pragmatism of most Cardinals fans. They tolerate Kyler Murray. But yeah, this is the kind of stuff
They
you
don't
get.
have a choice, really. But yeah.
Well, I'm just saying they don't pretend like he's the second coming of any sort.
Happy Lefty's back on says, "Quiet, Phil. The pristine athletes of the PGA Tour demand your attention and respect."
That's right. We didn't talk about the PGA because I'm just learning how to golf. Ralph kind of golf. Phil, do you golf?
I do not.
Okay, so that's why golf is not a thing for us.
And random texter comes back and says, "Don't get me wrong, I'm no Cardinal fan." He's not. He's a Chief fan. So
okay, well, I still think that Cardinals fans, for the most part,
you still have issues because you're a Chief fan. So.
But if anybody wants to tip me $100, I could be a golf cart girly.
How do we get on that? Anyway.
Wow, I can see you doing that.
20. I've done more embarrassing things for less money.
I could see you in a short skirt.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us as part of your weekend with all this craziness and. Oh my gosh.
Stretch my fingers.
I don't even know what to say. It's the Weekend Warriors right here on 1580. We'll see you next week. The Fanatic.